exciting. I traveled here all the way from Tacoma, Washington, which is a 5.5 hour plane ride. So I'm really happy to be here. This is such a new experience for me to travel and be speaking in colleges and everything. So I'm really excited. So I guess you guys really don't know me at all, so I'm going to share my story with you, starting from the beginning. So kind of the layout for today is I'll share my story, and then I will ask you guys some questions and get some feedback from you. And then I know that your instructor said that she had gathered some questions that you guys have for me. So there'll be a time for you guys to ask me questions. And since we have a good chunk of time, I'll probably end up splitting you up into groups for you guys to give each other feedback. So, yeah, I'm just going to start with my story. So I was born in Tacoma, Washington State, and I was born with partial limbs, so this is the way I've been my whole life. When I was born, I was given up for adoption and adopted by really amazing parents. They not only adopted me, but they adopted 5 of my other siblings, and all 6 of us that are adopted have special needs. So I have 2 brothers with Down syndrome, and then 3 younger siblings that are a sibling set that we adopted when I was 13 years old. And they have a rare genetic condition that affects their muscles, so it appears kind of like cerebral palsy. They are able to walk, and actually all 3 of them live a pretty independent, normal life. And actually all of us are doing well. My parents advocated for us in a major way. They were amazing at, they had decided that they wanted to adopt children with disabilities, and so they really put their heart into it. And they advocated for my education and my siblings' education. When I started school in 1986, 1985, yeah. When I started kindergarten in 1985, it had just recently, the law of the Rehabilitation Act had just come out, and the schools that I grew up in had not yet started to participate in that law. And so my parents had to hire a lawyer and advocate for me to get a public education, because they were going to send me to a separate school for children with disabilities. And my parents wanted me to get a high quality education. So they advocated for me all along the way in my grade school years and up into high school. Elementary school was pretty good. Middle school and high school was when the majority of the teasing happened towards me. And, you know, it was hard, but I wouldn't take it back because it's part of my story now. And I actually have an anti-bullying campaign because of some of the things I experienced. And it's pretty normal for kids to respond to disabilities or anything that looks different in a strange way. Like they'll tease kids that look different. And, you know, so I feel that my anti-bullying message will help them see how hurtful that can be. But I also have experienced amazing, encouraging positivity through the friendships that I have acquired along the path in my life. I especially had an amazing experience in college. I went to Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, and that was the first time in my life that I really felt that I belonged. The Pacific Lutheran University had a great disability advocacy program there, and I felt for the first time that I was really valued for my gifts and talents and for who I am, not seen as somebody just with a disability, but seen as somebody that has a lot to offer. And so in that environment, I started to hear things, encouraging and positive affirmations that I hadn't heard prior to that, or at least not to the extent that I did there. And that experience really overrided some of the hardships that I had experienced in my school years. And even in that time of middle school and high school, when things were challenging and you know, I was being teased, or it was more negative than positive at times, I always had a dream, and that dream was that I was going to share my story with people and make a difference. I always had that in my heart, that that was something I was going to do someday. Even as a kid, I I loved talking in front of groups. Like, my parents said that one time, I don't remember this, I was 4 years old, and we were at a local rodeo, and I escaped from my parents and found the announcer and told him that I wanted to talk on the microphone. And so the announcer gave me the microphone and was telling me what to say into it. And that's how my parents found me. They were like, "Where is she?" And they said that I sounded like a grown-up even though I was a kid. And so they knew that I had a future in public speaking. And my dad had always kind of encouraged me, like, "You're going to be a public speaker someday." So that dream really, like, kept me hopeful even in the times that you know, I was being teased or I faced a lot of peer rejection in my grade school years. But going back to my college experience, that dream started to come alive in that environment. And it started to come alive because people believed in it, and they saw my capacity to change people's lives beyond what I could see. And that was where the power of encouragement and true friendship and the feeling of being accepted really, like, it healed a lot of the things that had happened prior in my life. And I would say, well, one of my favorite experiences that I like to share in college that kind of demonstrates what I experienced there. The first day that I arrived on campus, when I was eating breakfast in the cafe or the cafeteria, the entire football team invited me to come sit with them for breakfast. And I know you guys have probably never heard of him. His name is Frosty Westring. He's very famous in the West Coast. He's a famous football coach. And he was the football coach at Pacific Lutheran University. And he advocated to raise up men of integrity. And so the football team was just filled with really awesome men that were being mentored by Frosty Westring. And so these guys, they started to reach out to me. And I mean, first of all, I had never really been noticed by guys in high school, so it was like really strange to me, but it was such a positive experience because that was like, as soon as I got on campus and went to breakfast, they welcomed me and they had me join them for breakfast. And then every morning they would invite me to come eat with them. And so I ate with the football team every morning for 4 years while I was in school. And I built such strong friendships. I'm still friends with most of them and their wives, and they're like brothers. And so that experience was so healing. And they didn't treat me like, "Oh, you're disabled, so we're inviting you to come sit with us." They were like, "You're cool, and we want to know your story, and we want to be friends with you." And it was an amazing experience. So after I got my degree in psychology from PLU, I went on and got certified in radio broadcasting, and then I got a master's degree in counseling. And so all of that, during that time, I was working part-time and living in a bachelorette pad, which was total chaos. I'm sure some of you live in like student housing and things like that. You get more than one women living together, and it's kind of crazy. But I endured that time, and in 2011, I started a motivational speaking business. And the story around that, it wasn't just like, oh, I started a business. Up until 2011, I had been working. From 2009 to 2011, prior to getting my master's degree, I was working at the Tacoma School of the Arts. And it's an inclusive school, so they basically don't have special education. All of the students with special needs are in the mainstream classes, and they have a special education teacher in each classroom co-teaching with the mainstream teacher. And that model of education, it just inspired me. I was really excited to be part of it and to see it in action. And actually, that experience would later form my platform as Miss Wheelchair America. So I was there for 2 years, and unfortunately, when the economy went down, they had to cut my position due to budget cuts. And I was